Hey everybody, welcome to the second video of the night, also the last one because I'm not making 3 tonight. The second video is going to be about unpopular Grey's Anatomy opinions that I agree with. You can feel free to comment your own in the comments. If you have anything negative to say about me or my unpopular opinions, you will be blocked and reported. I don't have time for immaturity or children. With that being said, the first one is Adamson's death was hard, but people quickly overlooked it and forgot about her. Alex Karev and April Kepner had the best character development out of the whole show. Jackson Avery and April Kepner are soulmates. I do believe that. Penny got too much unnecessary blame for Derek's death. It was not all her fault. I will die on that hill. Mark Sloan would have not let the custody battle happen between Callie and Arizona. Magic was the best era of interns. Also, for those of you that don't know, Magic stands for their first names. M is Meredith, A is Alex, G is George, I is Izzy, C is Christina, for those of you that didn't know that. Meredith and Derek were not toxic together, they were just realistic. And every relationship has their own problems. I will never understand why Izzy Stevens was not fired for cutting Denny Zelvad wire, but April Kepner was. Joe deserves so much more than just a letter from Alex. Arizona overlooked Callie's pain after the plane crash. Just because someone is going through, or someone went through physical trauma, doesn't mean that that's any worse than the mental trauma that someone else is going through. Sometimes mental trauma is just as bad as physical. I would have loved to see Addison and Alex together, even if it was just for a few episodes. I do not think they were in-game, though. Another controversial one, the musical episode was freaking amazing. Matthew and April had the best proposal. And then second place would go to Meredith and Derek in the elevator. The way that Ben asked Miranda to marry him was actually adorable in a way with the crossword puzzle. Teddy and Owen's relationship is actually good. But I don't think that they're soulmates. They're most likely trauma bonded due to being in the military together. Lexi's steal everything era for her apartment was adorable. And no, I don't condone stealing. Lexi was the best sister of Meredith. Alex was the soulmate of Joe. Izzy was the soulmate of Denny. Sorry, correction. Because I'm a human, I make mistakes. Alex was the soulmate of Joe. Izzy was the soulmate of Alex. Denny was the soulmate of Izzy. Andrew DeLuca's death was really overlooked. And the storyline went by way too fast. His death was one of the most poorly written things that I've seen in Grey's Anatomy. Mark and Addison were a really good couple, but not endgame. Preston wasn't actually a bad guy. This is a controversial one. He just didn't want the same things as Christina. The only bad thing he did was leaving her at the altar. He was a straight up jerk for that. George handled things with Meredith so embarrassingly and pretended to be the victim through all of it. whenever he actually took advantage of her when she was heartbroken. He should have never admitted his feelings at that point. He could have waited for a better time. You don't do that to a person when they're vulnerable. Lexi's death was the saddest of the entire series. Second place would go to Connie, I think her name was. The girl that had the pole. They were impaled by a pole. I think her name was Connie. Hers would be the second saddest. Maggie is selfish and childish. Tom Karasik is hated for things that everyone loved about Mark, and he doesn't deserve it. Callie shouldn't have promised Arizona that she was going to keep her leg. And also shouldn't have had anything to do with her wife's medical care. It's literally in the rules of the hospital. I don't know how they let that slide. Preston Burke understood Christina so much more than Owen Hunt ever did. I hope Meredith and Nick end up together. He's the second best person for her next to Derek. Kai and Amelia are endgame. Also, Kai is really cute. You cannot realize the extent of Amelia's character development. That's what I was trying to say. Her huge progress and her heartbreaking story without watching Private Practice. I think the new interns are great. Yeah, Magic was the best era, but the new interns aren't terrible. Alex should have stayed with Joe. Arizona had no right to cheat on Callie. Derek Shepard's depression was majorly overlooked. Richard Webber was more of a dad to Meredith than Thatcher was. I don't think that should be an unpopular opinion at all. It's a fact. Jackson was always treated differently because he's an Avery. The three best mentorships on the show were Arizona and Alex, Mark and Jackson, and the old dude, I cannot remember his name, and Christina, the one that had a heart attack and died in the OR. I love their dynamic. Ben brought back Miranda's smile. Stephanie is one of the most underrated and underappreciated characters in the show. Especially what she did for that girl during the fire episode. Winston and Maggie, they were cute at first, but ended up just dragging each other down instead of lifting each other up. It's a good thing they decided to go their separate ways, considering how they both want separate things, and he was willing to compromise a lot more than she was. Erica had every single right to be mad at Izzy for what she did to her patient. Callie did Erica so wrong, especially after the part where they first, and she was crying. She had a realization, and Callie was not empathetic towards that. Meredith should have called Derek's family after the crash. And the last one, Arizona was just as much Sophia's mom as Callie was because they were in a partnership. Hopefully you liked my Grey's Anatomy opinions. I'm currently working on the ones that I don't agree with, which is a very short list. But I will be back on tomorrow to post more videos. Hope everybody has a good night.